Hello, hello, hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Dish, Above Board TV, Rose Gauntlet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 388, and we're recording on September 25th, 2025. Board Games Insider, powered by Board Game Geek. Well, my voice is less gravelly than last week, Corey.
Yeah,
Though,
yeah.
though I used it quite a bit at the World Series of Board Gaming, which I got back from yesterday. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. I
I
know
know.
you got all kinds of stuff going on in your life,
Oh, you and
including,
I have just been nonstop.
yeah, absolutely. What's going on? Oh, by the way, Ignacy again is sick. I've
Oh,
I've never
the
met a
poor
human
guy
being.
caught something at his own convention.
He runs Chevy Check Con, something like that. And yes, he said he has the flu. I mean, I keep telling him, listen, dude, you like live this like kind of healthy life, and I drink beer and carouse and all this crap. I mean, start drinking a little. Maybe that'll do it or something. I don't know. He doesn't listen to me. All right.
Pro-carousing viewpoint there.
It's the pro carousing people. All right. Corey, what's going on in your life?
Sure. Travel, travel, travel. So I'm actually back home in Napa area, but I came here from Syracuse. So had a wonderful trip to CuseCon. It was a little bit of a mixed bag because in between the Florida trip and the Syracuse trip, my back, which is always a grumpy back, went out.
Ouch, I
And
didn't know. Ooh,
yeah,
sorry.
so I was pretty darn sore the very beginning of Syracuse and ended up spending most of the time in my room on muscle relaxants, not watching something on TV. So took it easy
Oh,
and it got better. I recovered pretty quick. So I did get to go to the tail end of CuseCon, and it is an amazing convention. Absolutely loved it. The people were so friendly. It is a game playing convention with a large library, about 450 people, run by Michael Gugliano, nicest guy in the universe.
he is.
And it has a high percentage of designers and people in the industry. So it's a really nice convention. It was my first time there. And I was inundated with gifts, which doesn't happen, and I'm so absolutely touched. Designer Stephen Sauer
Oh,
uh, sent message that he absolutely loves the show, and I'm a huge fan of Steven Sauer, and he sent two of his 18 card mini games for me, the Dig and Boil and Bubble. So I'm so excited to try those out. Also, friend and listener Evan Halbert, who's in the industry, had picked me up. The game that I mentioned on the show was my Grail game, Kariba, little tiny 18 card, not 18 card, little tiny card game from Reiner Knizia with animals around a water hole. That was so fun. I got to play prototypes and hang out with uh, John Gilmore, Corey Andalora, David Abelson, and Gil Hova, who I haven't hung out with for a long old time. Went out to dinner with Gil. I always have absolutely the greatest conversations
I don't
with
think
Gil
I
Hova.
don't think I mentioned it last week or the week before that I also had dinner with Gil Hova.
I love it.
He happened to be in the area here in Florida, and I happened to be home, which that's a pretty big coincidence.
That is a weird one there.
Gil's here from New Jersey, and I'm here. And Paula and I went out and we had dinner with Gil. He had a family matter that he was taking care of, so it was lovely to see him. I hadn't seen him
I
in quite a
love
long
Gil.
time.
Gil, of course, is the designer of Wordsy, which used to be called Prolix, which has a new version
Right.
on digital, and the designer of The Networks was one of his most popular one. He
Mm-hmm.
had Formal Ferret Games, and he was one of the maybe not original, but one I think of the most prominent co-hosts of Ludology podcast.
Absolutely.
Absolute infinite knowledge in board game design and game design in general.
Yeah.
His sports knowledge is incredible.
Good guy.
So QsCon was amazing. Now I'm having a bunch of influencers from Los Angeles coming to the house. The first are arriving today. And it's going to be just a game playing, relaxing weekend. I really love this get together. I've done it a couple times now because it's the Los Angeles influencers coming here to play games and to not influence. It's a break from filming and videoing and playing games because they have to or they're paid to. They're just here to have fun.
Good,
So it's
excellent.
going to be amazing. And then, of course, the big thing we got to start talking about is Essen is less than 3 weeks away. And I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody at Essen. It's going to be so fun. And this year, I'm actually going to be doing Iceland and then Finland and then Essen. And after Essen, I'm going to spend some time in Belgium, which I've never been to before. So it's going to be a really fun trip.
That's awesome. And of course, I'll see you there. And I'll talk about my little pre-trip as well. But as I mentioned at the top of the show, I just got back from the World Series of Board Gaming, where once again we gave away like $300,000 in cash and prizes. It's phenomenal that this group has been able to pull this off. So many other people tried to do this, and now in its fourth full year, 2022, 3, 4, and 5, this event has run extremely successfully. Ask anybody that shows up, and they will tell you how much they love it. The world
That's awesome.
champion this year is Daniel Eng from, I don't want to get it wrong. I'm going to say, oh my God, China. I think he's from China. He's the world champion, and he won a choir for the championship. It's random, right? So they have the six.
Wow.
So it's a very important thing. There's the 16 ring games, right? And you have to win like several games to win the ring, several, heats. You start out, if you win your table, you advance. You win your table, you advance. Normally at that point to the semifinals. If you win that, you go to a final table for the ring. And he won, oh, and I forgot which one he won to advance. I apologize for that, Daniel. But he won the ring. And then you go to a semifinals where we pick from games that those people, those people did not play. You have to be at a table that you did not play to win the ring. And then finally, we pick for the game for the finals, and it randomly came out after eliminating all the ones that that the people had played already, that it was going to be a choir, and he won the championship. And he had never played the game before. He had just touched on it a little bit, and then he went with his friends, and they got all the strategies down and all that. So it was pretty amazing. I'm not sure if he never played it. I think I might be overstating it there, but he was certainly not an expert at this game, and he won it. All of the all of the games that were played in the semifinals just to get to that point were Brass, Birmingham, Dune Uprising, White Castle, and Arnak. So those games end up getting eliminated as well, and then finally the pick is, in the end, for the four people that make the finals, and it ended up to be a choir. Fantastic event. I can't talk it up enough. Even if you're not a competitive gamer, going to it in the Open Game Library, which is sponsored and brought in by Dice Tower West. It was just incredible, the whole fun of open gaming there in a much smaller environment. 1,000 people showed up, and it never, ever even felt crowded a little bit. After this, I'm going to be heading out just like in a few days, really. I'm going back to the West Coast, and
Non-stop, man.
I'm going to LA. I'm going to spend a few nights in LA. Actually, never been there. Really. I mean, I've been around it. I've been doing some things. I did go to Hollywood actually, just to see like Rodeo Drive once on a trip where I was not really there, but we just drove down from where we were. Um, but we're gonna be going and hanging out in Hollywood, to Hollywood Studios, and a tour of the area. But then the real purpose of going out there is to go on BGG at sea, Western Mexico. So another gaming cruise, going to Cabo San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta. It's all of the ports that you saw on the Love Boat. It's the Love Boat cruise, so to speak, right? When they did those back in the day on that thing. But on a Royal Caribbean ship, modern cruising, and all of that. So very excited to see everybody. Hopefully, I'll meet some of the listeners there, and I'll have some stuff to give you for my own stuff. And then I'll be home for about, I don't know, like a week or two, maybe. And I
Hours.
pop on a plane and get over to the Essen trip with a first stop in the Netherlands. So Zev Schlosinger from Play to Z Games, of course, and a bunch of friends from Europe. We're gonna hit Amsterdam and do a bunch of escape rooms. They've got two of the three top rated escape rooms in the world. So we're going to go there, do that first, and then we go down and we'll be at the Essenspiel for the duration, and then pop back here. Uh, After that, it's BGG and then New Jersey for Christmas. I haven't planned New Jersey Christmas yet, but that's probably going to be in my future. Final thing, gotta mention Dogs of War by Play to Z Games in the Shut Up and Sit Down line is now on GameFound. I've spoken about this several times already, but number one on the hotness on BGG right now, as of September 25th when I'm talking. The GameFound campaign has started. We have 1,300 backers. Literally, that was the number when I clicked on it this morning. $86,000 raised. Now, remember, this is only a $50 game, so we're not going to hit the millions of dollars. You don't do that unless you have a million expansions like my that's like my wall of shame, like way up there, where I have all of the CMON Marvel Zombicide, where I spent about $650. I still can't believe I did that to this day. Not one of those things is open. Um, but so this is, it's a $75 base level and a $75 level if you $50 and 75 if you get like alternate screens and coins or something like that. So go check that out. People are talking about it. The video that Shut Up and Sit Down did for the new release of the game is so cool. A very thematic video by the guys there. So check that out. Go over to gamefound.com, type in Dogs of War or Play to Z, and you'll find it right there. I think you will not be disappointed. Let's get down to the event deck. Nice cough right there. All right on my voiceover.
Thank you.
Nice
I
cough.
know. I know.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about GAMA. So, sadly, Ignacio's not here to talk about it, but he loves it. No, he actually has come around and he does it. GAMA has announced something very cool, I think. They're doing the GAMA's Game Store Day, and this is going to be November 1st of 2025. It's going to be an annual event for friendly local game stores.
Yeah.
GAMA announces Game Store Day. The new event is part of GAMA's initiative to support member retailers and their friendly local game store communities. Retailers can register for this event on GAMA's Game Store Day website and will be able to receive marketing and promotional materials for the event. In addition to the marketing materials, GAMA will also provide prize materials for retailers to give away at the event, including 2 Origins Family Pass prizes, good for 4 full Origins badges. And this is on ICP2. So this is really cool that, let's get some more of these, the trade organization going and pushing out the information and
Yeah. We've had a
for the community.
number of kind of annual event holiday kind of things. We had Tabletop Day, we had Free RPG Day. I really love having these things. I hope this one sticks around for a long old time. This sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
And it's in the spirit of all of the other like comics do this and for their
Yeah.
industry. RPGs do this for their industry. So now we're getting one for specifically for retailers of board games, and that's very cool. A very brief article here that I don't even have a link to because it came off the press release that I subscribed to. It's Embracer, the former owner of Asmodee. They're going to be buying back about $54 million of their Class A stock. All I'm going to say about this, that means they're doing very well. That's why you would buy back your own stock,
Mm.
make it part of the company. That's called treasury stock, stock that the company owns in itself, taking it off the market and saying, we believe so much in this that we're going to own even our own stock. And, you know, we've talked about Embracer maybe being in trouble when they were spinning companies off, but based on this alone, I'd say no. Their demise is greatly exaggerated. They're doing well, and then we get to Asmodee, as I just mentioned, and
Yep.
Asmodee commissioned a study, Corey,
Yeah.
which was very neat. You want to take it? Go for it if you'd like.
Yeah, this is off of Asmodee's own press release. To mark their 30th anniversary, they did a global study and found that nearly two-thirds of people strengthen family ties through tabletop games. So this is really cool. It's stuff that we kind of always suspected that, this is family building. And there's a lot of companies right now rebranding as family strengthening, family building. Hasbro is taking this tack and now Asmodee has it too. So, out of France, Asmodee, a global tabletop entertainment leader, today uncovers new research revealing the rising popularity of board games among the general public. The findings released to celebrate the brand's 30th anniversary show that a quarter of people, 26%, now play board games at least once a week, and that tabletop games are close behind video games, 32%, and on a par with podcasts, 29%, when it comes to how people are spending their leisure time. So it's something we've always known. Board games are good for you. Play
Board
more board
games.
games.
Board games are good for you. Board games strengthen family ties. Um, I would love to know the population, so to speak, of consumers that they looked at for this. But it's very interesting. They did do this over 8,000 consumers in the UK, the USA, France, and Sweden were part of this, which is kind of cool. So it wasn't that small of a survey either. Very, very,
There's
very
a,
good.
a couple other interesting little statistics they pulled out. Um, they said among all player age brackets, millennials play as much tabletop games as they are consuming the news.
Well, that is
I think
really
that
interesting.
shows more a loss of faith in the news than board games, but I'm going to take it as a win.
I'm
This
gonna
is,
I'm gonna take that as a win as well. But yeah, that is a very interesting stat. Well, we got Magic the Gathering introducing a
yeah.
Play-Doh set, and it's confirmed for charity on ICV2. Corey, what the
I
heck's going
love
on
it.
here?
This one I pulled out just because it's awesome. Come on. I don't think we need anything more than the title. This is off of ICV2. Wizards of the Coast announces Magic the Gathering Play-Doh drop set. This is so cool.
And they're doing it for charity. I don't know what
Yeah.
percentage of the money, but they're considering this a charity set, and it's going to
Yeah.
benefit Extra Life and children's hospitals.
And
I
they do
think
this
that's brilliant.
annually. Wizards of the Coast annually does an Extra Life charity magic set. Um, and it's Play-Doh. So the set comes with green sleeves, marrow sorcerer, a polyraptor, an academy manufactor, and a worm coil engine. I understood literally about a third of the words in that sentence.
That's great.
The set will be available on September 29th till November 9th. And it looks like you have to get it on the Secret Lair website.
Very, very cool. Now, this one I put in here and I absolutely loved it. The first board game convention in the Middle East is going to be happening in just about a month or so. A former airline pilot is hoping to create Gen Con of Dubai with a launch of the Middle East's first dedicated board game convention. More than 50, this is, by the way, this is on our friends from Board Game Wire. Thank you guys over there. More than 50 publishers, including Stonemaier Games, Leader Games, Games Workshop, and Wizards of the Coast, will be exhibiting or represented at the first tabletop.me it's called. I guess that's their website. While over 250 games will be available for teaching and play in the 7,300 square meter open gaming hall. Organizer Mark Asman told Board Game Wire. So this is going to be going on in Dubai, as I mentioned. They've got a lot of people in that region that could definitely benefit from getting together over board gaming. I think this is amazing, and I do not understand why I was not asked to come out as the ultra very special guest of honor. Corey, something happened here that
Oh,
they didn't do that.
I'm a special guest.
Oh, so they mentioned Gen Con just there, so maybe you have to be the special guest.
No, 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 no,
Um,
no. I am so excited about this. I was
yeah,
not asked to be a special guest.
no.
I think it sounds amazing.
No, I mean I mean really, I mean, when you're talking about expanding to new groups of people. I mean, there's always been a certain number of people in the Middle East that have been playing board games. I remember back in the day there was a distributor somewhere. I'm gonna say it was Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure exactly. There are distributors in Israel. I know that as
Oh,
well.
sure.
And they buy games and they sell them there. But to have a large scale convention, I can't put 7,300 square meters into
It's about 65,000 square feet.
no, not bad at all. That's a pretty decent size. So putting that and getting that many people together in that area of the world, I think can only help the industry. So
Yeah. And the industry's always lumped Africa and the Middle East as one distribution group. So it's nice for the Middle East to get a little bit of self-identity within the industry.
absolutely. Corey, I know that you said there's no more news here, but I will point out that ICV2 also picked up the fact that Dogs of War is being revisited by Play to Z. It was right there on ICV2, so I dropped it in here, but we've already talked about it. Go
I
check
knew
out.
you
I couldn't
couldn't
resist.
skip over
Even
it.
though Corey put like, oh, you don't got to mention this. We already mentioned this.
Oh man.
Go over to gamefound.com, type Play to Z or Dogs of War. In the meantime, strategy and tactics. All right, Corey. The first one here
I know.
literally
I'm in
has
trouble.
your name written all over it. And it's from Kevin Wardener, who's got the best handle, of course, of everybody on BGG,
Hercules.
Jercules. And he says,
Ah.
this is from late April. So we're getting up there, getting closer and closer to current questions. It says, did Corey seriously refer to Buc-ee's as a chain restaurant? Has Corey ever been to a Buc-ee's? Answer, answer that question.
All right. I will start by saying I have never walked into a Buc-ee's.
Oh, wow.
They
So
don't have them in any of the regions I live or visit. I've eaten and seen plenty of Buc-ee's products. And I know, Buc-ee's is not really a chain restaurant.
no.
Buc-ee's is a giant rest stop gas station type thing, like Sheets. Um, I want to go to a Buc-ee's. I want to experience the full Buc-ee's. I dream about Buc-ee's. This is someplace I want to live, breathe, raise a family, start a new life in a Buc-ee's. I don't want to besmirch the good name of Buc-ee's.
Well,
I apologize. I have not seen the glory that is a
well,
Buc-ee's.
I'm gonna point out that I probably said something in that episode that our friend Kevin Jercules is referring to, disparaging about Buc-ee's because I don't get it. I'm sorry, I literally don't get it.
You have not been in a Buc-ee's.
I've been in several Buc-ee's, or at least a couple. Let's call it two. Probably more than two. But
Did you
anyway,
have the nuggets? Did you have the Buc-ee's nuggets?
dude, I've eaten stuff in Buc-ee's. Listen, it's the coolest truck stop in the world, and it's a chain of these truck stops.
Yep,
But
yep, yep.
and it's upscale. It's pretty. It's not. Truck stops are also kind of grungy and ugly. This is upscale, but
You're
it's
coming off the
still,
New Jersey mentality of truck
dude.
stops.
It's a truck stop. That's all I'm gonna say. It's
It is a
you
rest stop. It is a
yeah,
glorious respite
a
from
rest.
the maladrum of driving.
Yes.
It's an oasis on the road desert.
But people talk about Buc-ee's like it's like, oh my God, we can get to go to a. I'm like, Buc-ee's, it's a rest stop. I can go to the bathroom in any one of these things.
You heard
And
this. He's the bad guy. I'm only talking good about Bucky's. He's the bad guy.
Corey has never been to a Buc-ee's. I've been to at least two, if not more, Buc-ee's. I like Buc-ee's. I just can't say it's like, oh my God, you must get to a Buc-ee's. If you never go to a Buc-ee's in your life, your life is not going to be any
Come to Board
worse.
Game Insider, where we spend 20 minutes talking about Bucky's.
Patrick W. from Canada, who is at Patisneet, he asks, what price would crowdfunding games be responsible for paying tariffs on? Ah, okay, I get it. Okay. For example, if a customer paid $30 for a game, but it cost the company only $10 to get the game into the USA. Is the tariff handled any differently since it is a single purchase for crowdfunding game rather than having a distributor in between? The
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, and it's a choice of the producer of the game. The two models right now are if it's a $10 game and you're charged your $2, $3 tariff, do you then multiply that all the way through the chain and turn it into a significantly higher price for the final? And what crowdfunding often does is the other model where they'll just tack the tariff fee at the end, just like you would do a tax or a tariff or a VAT. You just put it at the end.
Yeah,
So
so Corey was doing the math for you. If it's a 30% tariff and the game physically costs you $10 to manufacture it in China, because we're talking about the Chinese tax, once it lands, you have to pay $3 per unit that arrived to the US government. How that translates into what the crowdfunding company publisher actually charges you is up to them if they are or if they're just going to absorb it. People are absorbing it mostly, but you know, some of it will end up getting baked if it stays there, these taxes. It will get baked into the MSRP of games at some level, not necessarily the full $3, but at some level. He continues, is it possible for a crowdfunding company to be their own importer for the purpose of tariffs? It won't matter. So that a crowdfunding game could pay the tariff on a $10 landed cost and not the $30 final price the customer's
tariff is
paying.
always on the manufacturer cost. It's on the value of the item you imported in from the
Right.
foreign country.
Right. And then he continues, is it's only on the price paid to land it. And that is correct. It's on the price on the invoice that you show when you are bringing goods on a ship. The importation documentation shows what you paid in China, and all of these, are backed up by the wires that you do and all that, right? So if that number on that invoice says 10 US dollars, and it always, by the way, for Chinese printing, it's always denominated in US dollars, not in Chinese yuan, for instance.
Right.
You will pay
So at
$3.
a $10 item, there's a $3 tariff. Your
Correct.
two choices are you take it through a 5x markup and it turns into a $65 product rather than a $50 product. Or if you're your own publisher and you do it on crowdfunding and you want to break even on it, you make a $50 product and tack a $3 tariff at the end and make it a $53 product.
Correct. I just did the math to make sure that was correct. I just
Thank
calculated
you,
it. You're
thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. He's so much smarter than me. All right. So we have Patrick W. continuing. Do you know of a list of board game manufacturers, both in China and outside of China? Or would you be able to mention a few of them? I saw
Oh,
that
sure.
Space Jam, a new legacy, says printed in Canada on the box. Do you know who might have printed that? It's an upper deck game. I haven't seen many games printed in Canada, so I'm curious if it's a company that prints games as a business or if it's part of Upper Deck themselves. I'm sure, first of all, I'll just say I'm sure that it's a company that's printing in
Right.
Canada. So
Very few
Corey,
companies have their own printer. The one that I know about is CGE has bought their own manufacturer within
in the Czech
the Czech
Republic.
in the
Yeah,
Czech Republic.
right.
The big manufacturers, Panda Manufacturing is the biggest. Longpack is right up there. What's Games with a Z is up there. Hope is up there. In the US, there's Cartamundi. and they are best known as the manufacturer of Magic the Gathering. So they're a card printer. I don't think
They're
they
actually
do.
based out in Belgium or the Netherlands. They're a European company that might have a facility
Oh,
now in the
they
US.
have a U.S.
Yeah.
facility.
Yeah.
Um, and Dominion at one point was printing at the U.S. facility, but they're cards and not really. The U.S. facility, at least, is cards and not really heavy cardboard or plastics.
Yeah. We would not have it off the top of our head an extensive or all-inclusive list for things that are, for the Chinese manufacturers. Corey
Yeah.
just reeled off quite a few of them. And I just they're escaping me. Several more would come to my head if I looked through some of my old
I'll
documents.
tell you what
But
you do though is Essen is just around the corner. Essen has a list of exhibitors, and one hall in Essen is focused on manufacture. So you can go through the Essen list of
there
exhibitors
you go.
and sort it by that hall, and you'll find a tremendous list of
I
manufacturers all
believe
over
it.
the world.
I believe it's Hall 4. Star is another one who probably has the most beautiful booth of any manufacturer in Essen. They go above and beyond it to make their booth look amazing. Um, and you mentioned some of the biggest ones right there. So
Yeah.
we've done a decent job there with China. Now, specifically Canada, who he mentioned,
Yeah, I
there's
don't know.
GPI
Oh, okay.
is a manufacturer there. Now, I've always believed that they actually contract in China to bring in like the dice, the which I'm sure that if they needed to put dice in a game, they still would. We're talking plastic dice or miniatures, but maybe they or somebody else has enough manufacturing facilities in Canada. I do not know of somebody. There's definitely
Yeah,
another one that's not coming
you
to me
know
right
the
now.
manufacturers way better than I do.
Yeah, definitely another one in Canada. Oh, by the way, did you know that Panda is actually a Canadian firm? Did you know that?
No.
Panda Manufacturing, owned by Michael and Richard Lee, who are Chinese Canadians. Um, they're a Canadian firm that contracts out with China. Now they say that they own some facilities there now. They may. I'm not going to say that's right or wrong, but they do all of the liaisoning, and they actually assign project managers to the companies that use them. So they're a little more expensive than going direct to China because they're kind of a middle person, but they do a lot of service for you. Um, but Canada GPI is the one that comes to mind. You probably can Google this or chat GPT this for a better list. But you can also probably go and look at Board Game Geek and you probably find a very good listing of companies in both China and in various other places. Glenn Slagle, he's Power Trout. Hey, Glenn. How viable or stupid is designing or redesigning a game that uses corn kernels, dried beans, or macaroni as
I've
components?
actually talked about this recently.
Would you need a special food license to ship such a game?
Yes.
Very quickly, the answer is yes. So if that means it's stupid, that's up to you. If you, I'm not going to call it stupid. I'm going to call it weird. Okay, we'll just go with the word weird. I
It's
can,
difficult, yeah, because you are technically shipping food, and there's a lot of extra steps you need to do.
yeah, he says I can buy 500 unpainted wooden cubes on Amazon for $10 or 1 pound of black beans, which is about 2,100 beans. I weighed them out for $2. Inspired by Shobu, interesting, being a box of
Yeah.
landscaping rocks, yep, cheap ass
Yep.
games model, and learning that soybeans and corn are some of my state's top exports. So, um, yeah, you would not want to do this. This would not be a commercially viable, large scale production game. You could not do this. But you know, if you want a prototype with black beans and pasta, go for it. You could do
There's
that.
also the humidity issues. I mean, you think warping of a board game is an issue. Humidity and sprouting and molding of food is a huge issue. Even cardboard games occasionally get lots where the humidity was wrong and they mold. And it's a not insignificant. percentage of games that'll run into that.
Very good. Oh, and Maxwell Bachman Whitney, who's at Maxwell underscore Oviedo Games, he responded to Glenn and he said, I can tell you, as
Ooh,
somebody who is PCQI and HAACP certified, I have no idea what that means, but it must have something to do with food. You won't need a food license to produce or ship a game with corn or bean components. Okay, well, maybe the food
wow.
license was not exactly the right word, but let's see what else he says. If you were foolhardy enough to put a nutrition label on it and tell people that they can also make a meal with the game, then you probably would need a food manufacturing facility registration depending on your state. The FDA looks at labeling and intent when deciding if a product is food. Okay,
That's
this does. All
fascinating.
right. So I'm still not going to say, I'm definitely going to say this is a bad idea. Let's start with this is a bad idea for the reasons that you've already mentioned, like humidity, mold. You know, these things are edible. Ergo, they will degrade faster. So even
You
if you
would
didn't tell
have to
people,
put that label on that says this is not a food product.
you would definitely want to do that, and God knows that you'd want to put 100 what are those things, the anti-desiccants in there, but then that would dry everything out so much, probably like the food things, which do contain, like pasta contains a certain amount of liquid, I would think, of water, as do beans, a certain amount, even if they're dried. I Glenn, don't do this, and Maxwell, don't encourage him. Ron Graves from Canada, he's at Buckaroo, interested mostly on Ignacie's take on this. Oh, we're gonna have to wait. This is an Ignacie question. Watch me, Corey. I'm actually writing Ignacie question here. Corey, why don't you go to the next one while I do this, if you can?
So
It's hard for
Marshall
me to type
S.
and read. Okay, there you go.
Multitasking. Marshall S. Who's at Mass Imp One. A lifetime ago, I worked for a major RPG publisher. While there, I was in management, business, not creative management, but spent my free time playtesting games with the creative side of the house. There were two sides to the company, the business side of the house and the creative side of the house. These two sides were generally at odds because the creative side wanted cool things to put in their game design, but the business side would tell them it's too expensive to put that in the box to make a profit. That's exactly what they sound like, by the way. That's that
Exactly.
voice. All business people have that voice.
I do.
The business side usually felt the kids wanted cool toys the company could not afford to put in the product. The creative side felt management is in the ivory tower, did not know what they were talking about. As game publishers, do you think that companies led by business people have a greater or worse chance of success? It appears some publishers do not focus enough on profit because they want to make a great game. Usually, companies that do not focus on profit fail, employees lose their jobs, and we as a community lose great games. This is an amazing question.
Well, let's start with Marshall. Marshall, great question, and you are correct. If you get into this industry, any part of this industry,
Yeah,
let's not talk about the parts that can be a hobby, just a thing. I'll just throw out some game designs and see if I can do it. I'm not trying to live on it, right? Not every designer is trying to live on that, and
yeah.
most can't. But we're talking about the publishers, the distributors, or everybody else. If you're not focusing, focusing on profit, it is a business. You have to focus on profit. Then you're going to fail. And I'm not trying to be
Yep.
mercenary. It's just but
And
you're
you are speaking from the businessman side of it.
well, but
I
but but but
think
dude, I'm a creative
no, that's not a
too.
bad thing. I'm saying
Right.
this is real. You know this is real.
It is
But
so real.
what this really encapsulates, I think, is the struggle that happens between publisher and designer. Now, there are exceptions, certainly lots of exceptions, but designers generally are the creative side, and publishers generally are the business side. And we have, as a job in the industry, developers. In Europe, they're referred to as editors. And these are supposed to be the mediators, supposed to be the in between to try to get the creative side, the designer, to understand what is profitable and what is not, and try to get the publisher, the business side, to understand what's cool and what's nerdy and what's not.
But the point here is that there's nothing wrong, and the creative side should say, "Hey, we'd like to do this. This would be cool." And the business
Yeah.
side says, "Well, we just can't afford to put that in a box." Or if the game is successful, maybe we have an add-on product with this cool stuff, right? That's how you would get both sides maybe in sync. Make sure we have a
Developers have to be that mediator
right,
between the two. And
right.
both sides need to understand that their side is not inflexible. The horror stories we hear behind the curtain of games being made are always things like, man, that publisher won't pay for anything. Or, man, that designer never changes his design. He's inflexible and hard to work with. So both sides need to bend a little towards the middle.
Without a doubt. Good question. Good question. Corey, wow, we're going long.
I know we took a lot of questions.
We're just enjoying hanging out with Ignacy. Oh, we love Ignacy. I wish he was here. He's got to start
Uh,
drinking more.
he would eat up those questions, man.
He would. Let's now get over to play testing. Corey, as usual, another great, if not weird, question from you. What?
I love the answers we got on this. So the
Hey,
question this week was, what is the largest number of different games you have played at a single convention, game weekend, game event, or game day? And then sub question, do you try to do this, play lots of different games, or does it just kind of happen organically? Do you set out on a quest to play the most games?
yeah,
We got
it was a very good
so
question.
many cool answers. Absolutely love it.
Anything in particular that
Oh,
caught your eye first? Since you've obviously read this, and I obviously have not.
Paul Marchbanks, friend of the channel, every convention, it's typically the case that we will play a large selection of different games. It's great because our group, which is anywhere from 6 to 10 people, depending on who all can make it, has multiple people who can teach a lot in groups at home. So every convention, we have a large group of games that people know how to teach by memory. So we just play games back to back. At BGG Spring this year, we played 19 different games for a total of 22 plays. Some games we played more than once. A
I,
lot of numbers on here, and they're just really cool.
I love people like that give you like the exact stats, the exact thing.
You
I
can
mean,
tell
they
who
broke.
tracks their
Yeah, you
games.
really can. So VD Word from the Netherlands, yes, from the Netherlands says largest number of different games played during a single convention, 12. Largest different game number of different games played during a game weekend, 14. Largest number of different games played during a game day, 8. During conventions, I do try to play different games. During game weekends and game days, it happens organically. Great answer. Very, very
We've got
specific.
at Bridge Guy 50 uh, said, "Great question." Did you hear that, Stephen? He said it's a great question.
Yes, it
He's
is.
like, I that's the only part I really wanted to read is he told me that I wrote a great question. He said, as an example for me, over 3 days at Origins 2024, I played or at least tried a few rounds of 16 different games. I purchased six of these on the spot. This was intentional. When at a convention, I like to try as many games as possible that I might be interested in. For a few of the games I purchased, I was on the fence about buying, so trying them out convinced me that yes, this one belongs on my shelf. Other games then moved up or down are off my wish list. I have done the same, but with a smaller number of games during one day of PAX Unplugged and at regional game days. In general, I like that I can test drive gameplay and see how components actually look and feel. Not to mention the possibility of meeting and chatting with the design team, or maybe getting to play the game with the designers, artists themselves, or even getting a signed copy.
Very cool. We have Jamie Frew from the United Kingdom. He said just one, not the game name, but literally just one. I've only ever attended conventions when working a booth for a game I love, and I tend never to leave because I enjoy sharing my enthusiasm with fellow attendees so much. Is that weird? And then he says P.S.
No,
and
I totally get that.
he put something here in Polish. I'm not sure if he speaks it and writes it or he just Google translated it, but he did kind of then say, "Hope you get a well-deserved, well-earned cookie, Ignacy." So thank you, Jamie, for that.
Oh, Trust me, he does. His cookie table at conventions is obscene.
It is
I want to
obscene.
get part of the cookie action, man.
Maybe we can
I just
muscle.
want to throw out there Guido Van Horn, who's at Guido Van Horn. I think he kind of wins. His number is 100. Twice
Wow.
on my birthday, I've held 24-hour game sessions with the goal of playing 100 games. First time I did a 10 by 10, 10 games, 10 times each. And the second time I did 100 different games. Both times I had to finish out my quest with some solo games as my friends failed me. Both times I had an amazing time. If you're curious, I thought 100 different games was more fun, but it was pretty chaotic. All live plays, no BGA, no digital plays.
Wow.
Whew.
Wow, wow, wow. That is a tremendous number. Paul Owen, friend of mine from back in the day, and he mentions where we met about 10 or 12 years ago. I used to blog about my convention gaming. Looking back, it seems I'd play 18 to 20 unique games over the course of the annual WBC, which used to be in Lancaster, Pennsylvania,
Nice.
where I met Paul, or PresCon. Since I participate in tournaments, it wasn't unusual to play multiple heats of the same game. Did I ever win anything? Not much. Very cool. Corey,
I don't know
so,
if you can hear my cat is screaming at the door because I've closed the door.
oh, that's funny. No, I cannot hear your cat. That's okay. A little cat on here would be fine. Corey, so you again have written a very cool question for next week. What is
I've
it?
done my best.
Yes, you did.
So this week's question, at conventions or other gamer events or gatherings, do you sign up for games in advance or do you just wing it in open gaming? And does this depend on the size of the event? For example, you might sign up at larger events or just wing it at smaller ones. This one I've always wondered about because I I don't know if it's fear of commitment or what, but I never sign up for events ahead of time. I'm a terrible person. I always just kind of wing it.
So, it really depends. It's not a fear of commitment with me. Now that I have more free time, when I go to cons, I try to sign up for things. Certainly, this past year at Gen Con, I tried to sign up for some things I really wanted to play. I wanted to play a little role playing in the One Ring system, so that I can get even more familiar with it. They were all sold out.
Yeah,
I ended up signing up for some seminars, I guess you can say, or just panel. No, I guess seminar where they were talking about DMing and things like that. Paula and I did that. I think I mentioned that in previously. So I don't sign up for a lot of stuff. I mostly wing it. Um, but it really just depends on where I am and what I'm doing. There are conventions that are literally only back in New Jersey. The conventions were you could open game, but almost everything was based on signing up for tables, to game,
yep,
and
yep.
then I would fill out my entire sheet and sign up for everything. And I would be like game after game after game after game the entire weekend. It's good. It's a very, very interesting question on how people plan out what they're doing. So, Corey,
Or don't. I'm a don't.
you're a don't or don't. Well, you're a don't. Uh, so I have, because Corey can't, put this question
Incapable.
in our group on in our BGG guild. So please go there, check it out, and we may take your answer next week. And now, everybody, the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. If you want to be part of this podcast, you can. Please help us. Go to the Guild on Board Game Geek. Make sure you're a member. Ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment. Answer our question to you from our playtesting segment. And simply post in the correct forum. I know you guys are smart and can do it. Interact with us directly on social media. The handle is the same on all platforms at Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play to Z Games, Above Board TV. Follow us on whichever of those social media you like, on all of them, and then you'll be speaking directly with us on these platforms. And the websites, by the way, they go by the same names too. A call out for the great YouTube channels Portal Games Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV, all YouTube. And we'd love to see you in person at an upcoming convention. Hopefully, BGG at Sea. Some of you guys will be out there. Make sure we talk. And of course, at Essen, we'll all be there together. We're going to be recording together. What a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll have it. If Ignacy doesn't get sick again, maybe we'll actually do something all together. What do you think, Corey? Will we?
Yes.
Board Games Insiders, professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Thank you, Jake, for being part of the team. And that great voice you're doing here, doing the intro, the outro, and the in-between segments, that is Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do your voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. So, Corey, I see you have typed some very interesting things here. Or are they interesting? Tell
They
me
are
about the
interesting.
special news you put here.
I put in a couple just quick things that I thought people need to know. One, there's a Kickstarter right now for a make your own D&D gummy candies. It's the 3D food company. It looks awesome. They have the molds and the gummy stuff, and you can make dice and monsters and beholders and the most important, you can make a gelatinous cube out of
Jello.
gelatinous candy. No, they're like gummy bear kind of stuff. I
Well,
thought it was cool.
you make a gelatinous cube out of a gelatinous substance.
I think that's awesome.
I mean, I'm just taking a quick look at it. It's kind of cute. You can make dice, you can make all kinds of stuff. Oh my God,
The
that is pretty
the
neat.
second thing, I don't know if you saw, but there is a new commercial for Dungeons and Dragons called The First Yes.
What?
Um, yep, and it is specifically for the starter set, the Borderlands starter set that just came out. This wonderful commercial was in fact filmed by Above Board,
Nice. Very.
and a lot of it is filmed in my house in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. Your house in Los
So,
Angeles. Oh, you also have a house
yep,
there. I forgot that you had a
yep.
house there. Why did you not allow me to use your house in Los Angeles while I'm staying in Los Angeles this coming week?
You can if you want.
Oh, you didn't offer it. You know I've been going there.
Because you have never stayed anywhere
Back.
except a Marriott property.
No, untrue, untrue. I've stayed at your house in Santa Rosa, in fact, and you know that. I'm teasing you, of course.
Yeah, then
We're staying at two Marriott properties when
I'm
we're in
not wrong.
the LA area.
I
Yes.
know.
And what's this? What's
Then
this here? Other one? You have a third one.
I had the great pleasure when I flew home from Syracuse, I got to sit next to one Tom Kenny, who's the voice actor who does SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh,
And
no
we
kidding.
chatted for a long old time. He is the nicest guy I have ever met in my life. And his son wants to go into board game design.
That's that's pretty cool. So,
So,
how did you know it was the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants?
common knowledge.
You're sitting next to a guy and you recognize that, oh, this guy does the voice.
Yes,
You're weird.
he's a celebrity. I bet you if we did a poll, more than half the listeners would recognize Tom Kenny
By face.
by face.
No way.
Have you
No
ever
way. All right,
watched
let's
SpongeBob?
do a quick poll right here, right now. You do know him, his face. I don't know
Yeah.
him, but Paula Milano, she's over there. Paula, if you saw Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, would you know who that is? If you saw his face, Paula says no. So therefore, one of our listeners,
Have you ever watched SpongeBob?
yeah, of course. I mean,
During
have I
the
watched? No, have
intro,
I watched it? Have I watched an entire episode? No, I have not. I've watched.
during the intro, there is an actual dude who's Patchy the Pirate who you see during the intro. That's Tom Kenny.
But it's not a real human being's face, right?
No, it's a real person. During the intro, there is an actual live person, and that's Tom Kenny.
So you turn to this guy as you sat down, or as he sat down next to you in your first class seat, I'm sure, and you said, You're Tom Kenny. Is that what happened, basically? I mean, give or take.
I was sly about it. We were chatting about all sorts of different things, and he asked what I did, and I asked what he did. And
Oh,
he said he was a voice actor, and I said, "You're Tom Kenny."
wow.
And
That's very,
and then we walked through the Chicago airport together. It was really fun.
that is
Such a
okay.
nice dude.
That's very cool. I didn't sit next to anybody in my
And by the way, I think it's
seat.
very age oriented, I should say. If we poll, I'm gonna say 20 to 30-year olds, I bet we get 80% would recognize Tom Kenny.
Yes, but that's not our core demo for this
Because
show, as you
you're
know it,
old,
because you're old too, just
but I
not quite
recognize
as old. You okay? All right,
him.
everybody. Again,
We've gone so long.
we get lost in our nonsense. Until next week, see you then. Bye bye.
Take care, everyone.